Men, a happy marriage is to your advantage. If you have a happy home, you will not leave work and go to a bar, a pub, a club. You will not on your way go spend time in a club drinking yourself to a state of stupor before going home. If you have a happy marriage, your creativity will be high, productivity will be high. Nothing destroys the creativity of a man like hostility in the family. We're going to be talking about 7 unreasonable behaviors of women that destroys their relationships and their marriage. Whether you're single or you're married, there are 7 unreasonable behaviors. There are many more, but we want to zoom in on the 7 crucial behaviors of women that undermines their relationships and their marriages. It is important that you know this as a mother, so you can groom your daughter not to exhibit this kind of behaviors. Number 2, it is critical that you know this as a wife, so that you do not exhibit this and lose your husband. It is also critical that you know these behaviors as a single lady, so that you don't have to wait for a long time and wonder why you're not married. The first unreasonable behavior that men can't stand, one of the major unreasonable behaviors that men just can't stand in women, is what we call nagging. You got me right, nagging. The Wall Street Journal defines nagging as the interaction in which one person repeatedly makes a request, the other person repeatedly ignores it, and both of them increasingly become annoyed. Here's the point. Nagging exists when one person keeps making a request, the other person keeps ignoring the request. And when the request is ignored, the person who nags goes after the person who ignores and keeps repeating, keep pounding on the issue. When a man feels that the expectation of his wife, her request, is unrealistic, is either he goes quiet, doesn't reply her, which again, yes, there's a need for the man to respond. But when some men don't talk a lot. So when a man feels this is just an unreasonable request, he may just go quiet and not respond to the issue, or just avoid you. Now, women with the grace, the tenacity, the resilience, the persistence that you have, you keep coming at the man. Matured women don't use nagging as a tool. Nagging is a proof of immaturity in a woman. Oh my. It doesn't matter how old you are. If nagging is your strategy, immaturity is your expression. The second unreasonable behavior that men find to be very, very uncomfortable. You need to take note of this. It is called contempt. Contempt. C-O-N-T-E-M-P-T. Contempt. This action, this behavior includes disrespecting a man, dishonoring a man, disregarding a man, demeaning a man, cursing a man, name calling a man. Such behaviors no man can stand. Such behaviors, there is just not a single man, whether he is a pope, a bishop, an archbishop, I don't care to know how godly he is. You cannot feed me with contempt and expect us to have a relationship. No matter how much a woman tries to play the role of a husband, she cannot be called a husband. She can do the duties of a husband, but the man is the one that is given that name, husband. Let me share with you the third unreasonable behavior that men can't stand. It is called rejection. Rejection. And there are three kinds of rejection that men eventually react to. One is sexual rejection. As a married woman, it is dangerous for your husband to be served with sexual rejection. It is one of the worst kind of rejection that a man can't handle, particularly from his wife. So if you are a woman who usually meets out rejection, if you are single, you're not married, but you always have a way of throwing psychological rejection, psycholocal abuse, physical abuse, physiological abuse. If you do that, no man can stand an atmosphere of rejection. Every man wants to be in a place where he feels accepted. The next thing I want to share with you quickly is what I call withdrawal. It's a bad habit that men can find, they just can't take easily. When a woman practices withdrawal, what do I mean by that? Whenever you have a conflict, we understand that conflict is not healthy, but conflict is not a palatable situation. The reality, however, is that conflict is part of life. We all don't see things alike. We all did not grow up from the same family. Our perspectives to life totally different. Therefore, we are going to, from time to time, have a little bit of conflict of perspectives. It doesn't mean that the relationship is bad. It just simply shows that there are healthy human beings in the relationship. The worst thing that can happen is to have a situation whereby, because we had a conflict over an issue, as a woman, the next thing you start doing is that you start withdrawing. You pretend to now become silent. You don't want to talk again. You withdraw your engagement from your partner. It just takes life out of the relationship. You emotionally distance yourself from your partner. Withdrawal does not help a relationship at all. It doesn't help any relationship. I want to talk about number 5, comparison. Most of the men that I've been interacted with say, listen, you know what? I can stand anything, but I cannot stand a woman who compares me to our pastor. You know, our pastor takes care of his wife. You know, my brother, my father. You compare your husband to every man you know, your boss in the office, your neighbor who just bought a new car for his wife on her birthday. No man can stand the atmosphere of comparison. It kills a man. It destroys a man. It demeans a man. Stop comparing your husband with somebody else. You can inspire your husband, but don't compare your husband with somebody else. Don't compare your man with somebody else. Inspire him, but don't compare him. The next thing I want to quickly share is addiction. One of the unreasonable behaviors that men can't stand is addiction. No man can stand a woman who is addicted to something he does not find interesting. Alcohol, pornography, food, drugs, shopping, gambling. Here's the point. Lisa Bahar once said, your addiction quickly becomes the third party in your marriage. No man can stand a woman who has a third party as an addiction in his relationship. Meaning, when I'm supposed to be spending time with you, you are holding your phone on Instagram, on Snapchat, on TikTok, and stuff like that, always chatting with your friends. You are addicted to social media. So when your husband needs your attention, something else is stealing your attention. So we call your addiction the third party in your relationship. The other thing we're beginning to see as a behavior, a behavior that most men can't stand, is what we call ungodliness. When a woman is wordless, listen, I say wordless. You know every movie on Netflix. You know every Nollywood movie is Zakaba part 1, is Zakaba part 2, is Zakaba part 3. As a mother, you are wordless. The word does not dwell in you. As a woman who will be raising the sons, the daughters that God has given to you, nothing dismays the heart of a man like knowing that he's going to work and he's leaving his children with a wordless wife. And if you're a wordless woman, you'll be a worldly woman, meaning the things of this world will preoccupy your mind. It's about the latest finger, acrylic finger, the latest Peruvian hair, Brazilian wear, Colombian hair, the latest, you know, all kinds of stuff. Who is wearing the latest Gucci? It's all about worldliness. It's all about carnal things. There's nothing wrong with looking good, but if that is what preoccupies your mind, it is the saddest thing in the life of a man. Happy is the man who has a worded wife. What is the value of leaving wealth to children when the word is not in them? What is inheritance without heritage? Give your children heritage before you talk about inheritance. The absence of heritage will make children destroy inheritance.